Closing arguments are underway at the inquest into the death of Katelynn Sampson, a 7-year-old Toronto girl who was beaten to death by her caregivers in 2008. The coroner's jury is considering a number of recommendations, including better training for child welfare workers and police to recognize the signs of abuse sooner. Joining us now to discuss this case is Aubrey, the president of CUPE Local 2316, that represents CAS workers. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you, Travis.
This is just, I was in the courtroom last week. Horrible to hear the details of this case and to hear what this little girl went through. And I know it's a big question, but what do you think ultimately went wrong here?
Well, I think there's a number of issues that went wrong here. I think it first started with Miss Sampson giving Katelynn to Donna and Warren. And I think that there were things that could be put in place, like education for people out there to know what services the Children Aid have to offer. I think there was issues with the schools, where she was able to miss a number of months of school without anybody tracking her down. And I think we as the Children Aid Society hold some of the biggest responsibilities of things that were missed, workers that were involved, eyes on the family and on the child, but no communication between our agencies.
And, as you mentioned, a lot of fingers being pointed here at a number of different organizations, from everyone at the Toronto District School Board to CAS. What are some of the lessons that CAS has learned coming out of this case?
Thanks for saying that. I think some of the main things that we've learned is, although you have a number of eyes on a child, unless you have that communication, the sharing of information between agencies, I wouldn't say that that's useless, but it's more helpful to have that. I think some of the protocols that have changed since that time has really improved the way we deal with those type of cases. When you're transferring cases from one agency to the next, there's a lot more accountability and verification of authority of the case and the carriage of that.
I know that you presented recommendations that you are putting forward. A number of parties, 13 parties or so, I think, are putting forward recommendations to the coroner's jury. What are some of the most important ones that you hope that they adopt when they come back around Friday or so?
So we put forward about 19 recommendations, and there's some joint recommendations that all parties that have agreed to. I think some of the more highlighted ones that we would focus on is around, first of all, interagency protocols. And although some have changed, we'd like to see some of that language get changed in the legislation around the Child and Family Services Act, as well as funding for some of these agencies. And I know if you've attended the inquest, you've heard a lot about this new Child Information Protection Network called CPIN. And the Auditor General even speaks about it in their report, talks about it's a great system about sharing information, but currently the implementation has a lot of glitches and problems, and I know that the ministry is working hard to fix them, but what we're calling for is actually a delay and a hold on rolling it out to any further agencies until some of these problems are fixed, as well as the funding to these agencies to support appropriate staffing levels and to support programs that would have gone into the families of Katelynn to help her.
Certainly a lot of lessons that need to be learned. Aubrey Gonsalves with CUPE Local 2316. Appreciate it. We should mention as well that the closing arguments, they continue on Monday. We're expecting to hear back from the jury on their final recommendations on Friday. 11:13, 7 degrees. To other news this morning, at least